2 a.m. and she calls me 'cause I'm still awake. Can you help me unravel my latest mistake? Dropped a stitch about 17 rows behind me. There's no way I can...
Hello and welcome to the Sittin and Knitting podcast. I am your host, Dianna. I am also known as His Handmaid on Ravelry and on Flirt. I am known as His Handmaid 1 on Twitter. And welcome to the podcast. Today is Tuesday, November 13th, 2012, and I am broadcasting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon from sunny Southwest Ohio. It's been a while since I podcasted, so I have forgotten a little bit of how to do it, but I am so pleased to be sitting here with you friends and to be sharing with you. So let's get into the show. I hope it's short and sweet for you. Out of my hands. So, out of my hands, if you hadn't noticed, is my Hope shawl. The last time I spoke with you, which was, I believe, the first week of October, I had talked about knitting the My Hope shawl by Laura Linneman I wanted to do a knit along, be involved in the Knit Nerd podcast knit along, and also the Knitting Den. They were doing a knit along together for October, Knit Something Pink, in remembrance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I wanted to knit something pink, and I wanted to knit the My Hope shawl. I thought it was a beautiful pattern. I have a daughter named Hope, Araya Hope, who passed away January 2011. But Araya used to have a pink helmet that would protect her head when she would have seizures. So just a lot of different things made the My Hope shawl special to me. And so I did knit it. I knitted this out of, and I didn't write any of my specs down. Madeline Tosh sock is the darker pink you see here at the top. And then the lighter pink, please turn the dryer off. The lighter pink is a hand spun yarn that a dear friend who is also Dianna from Ravelry hand spun and I believe dyed, and it's a gradient. It's a gradient pink actually, but I didn't even use enough of it to get to the different shades. So I used the Madeline Tosh sock here and here. And then I used the hand spun in the middle, and the hand spun has a little sparkle. So the shawl has a long wingspan, as you can see. I am about 5'8.5", and the wingspan is longer than me. It's pretty shallow. It's not very deep, very full. So I would classify it, even though it's long, it's more of a shawlette. I did do the beaded bind off. I don't know if you can see the beads. They are a clear bead, which I thought looked nice with the pale pink. I did do the border with the hand spun, so I thought that looked nice. Some mods that I made on the shawl is for the drop lace cable here in the middle. You were supposed to do 3 yarn overs, and I only did 2 because I didn't want the holes as big as with the 3. And that may have made a difference. I'm not sure. But I only yarned over twice. Other than that, I can't give anything else away. I don't want to give away her pattern. But I believe she calls the lacy holes the drop stitch cable. I do like the shawl. It's a little shallower than what I would really like to wear. I guess I really don't know how to wear a shawlette like this. The hand spun is a little itchy. And my blocking leaves a lot to be desired. I hope to one day be able to take a blocking class somewhere, somehow, or maybe just get blocking wires. All I have is the Knit Picks T-pins. And so I really wanted to block it out, but the only way that I could really pull it and hold it down was with pins. If you know of any other way that I could block or any blocking videos, let me know. So the shawl kind of has these points where I had used the pins to kind of pull it out. That's not part of the pattern, and you know, it's really not what I was going for, but that's how it came out. So all in all, here's the shawl. It is done. One of the things that really got me going as far as making this podcast is I'm thinking about gifting this shawl to my mother. Her birthday is November 19th, and she saw me making the shawl and she wanted it. So I may gift it to her, or I may just keep it and wear it as a scarf. I have just a plain gray winter coat, and I thought I could wear it as a scarf to kind of liven up the coat. I don't know. I don't know how to wear it. I don't know if I should wear it like this and make it look like a cowl. The girl said I should kind of wear it like this, but then, the ends hang down. I don't know how to wear it. And so that's that. That's all that's been out of my excuse me, all that's been out of my hands. Now we'll go to into my hands. Okay, what's in my hands? I don't like to say excuse me if I cough or clear my throat. I've been fighting a cold and a cough for a couple of weeks. The first thing maybe I should have said I did the My Hope shawl on size 6 needles. I believe it was size 6 needles. It's on my project page on Ravelry if you're interested. I am working on the Hitchhiker by Martina Bim, I think, is the designer. And it is now I expect this to be a scarf. And some call it a scarf and some call it a shawlette. So I'm expecting it to be a scarf, whereas with the My Hope, I was expecting more of a shawl, and it turned out to be more of a scarf or a shawlette. So that kind of disappointed me. I'm not really sure what I was thinking or what I was expecting out of only 400 yards of fingering weight. I guess it just didn't register in my mind. This requires about 400 yards of fingering weight, and I'm expecting it to be a scarf. And so I have about, I can't remember where I was last time I podcasted, but I'm at 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, at 33 points so far. And so I have 9 more points to go before the pattern is supposed to be finished. It's turning out very beautifully, if I should say so myself. I knitted it out of Vesper yarn. I don't remember the name of the colorway, but it is on my project page. It is a stripe of purples and greens, and it's just very, very yummy. Very, very pretty color of yarn. I'm enjoying knitting it. It's kind of zen knitting for me. It just is relaxing. It's the thing that I go to and that I pick up the most when I'm out or when I only have a few minutes to knit. It is what I've been wanting to knit. Every time I get a chance to knit, that's what I've been picking up and wanting to knit. So I'm really enjoying knitting the Hitchhiker. I think I'll be disappointed when the project is over, and I'm planning on doing one in a worsted weight yarn, and I would like to use a worsted weight yarn that's self-striping. So if you know of a really nice self-striping worsted weight yarn, let me know in this episode's show thread. I'd like to hear from you. What else I'm working on is the calligraphy cardigan, and this is by Hannah Fedek, and I think I've gotten quite a bit of progress done since the last time I podcasted. I'll show you. This is the back. And I have, since I podcasted, I think I was halfway through the increase rows. So I finished the increase rows, divided for the sleeves, and now I am going down the front. I mean, just down the body of the sweater. I have about 2 inches to knit before I start decreasing. And so right now it's just back and forth stockinette knitting. You know, I kind of got in a little I kind of got a little disappointed with myself when I got to dividing for the armholes because my numbers weren't quite right. You know how the front is supposed to have a certain number of stitches in the sleeves and the back. Well, I may have been off a couple of stitches, so I may have had to decrease, you know, at a front or increase to add another stitch at the back. And I did the decreases and increases at the raglan line. So you probably can't tell much. I guess if it was being judged for a contest, maybe somebody would have been able to tell, but it kind of disappointed me a little bit. But this is something I would pick up when I was out, or maybe I would work on when I was talking with someone, and I thought, you know, maybe when I came to a stitch marker, I didn't do my increases on both sides of the stitch marker like I was supposed to. Because on some places, you know, there were 8 raglan increases, and I say I probably had to fudge 4 of them, and it just kind of disappointed me a little bit. You really won't be able to tell in the grand scheme of things, but I don't know, it just kind of made me feel blah. So I hadn't really picked it up and worked on it much lately. I will not rip it back. There used to be time in my young knitting career where I would have ripped it back just for those stitches and then ended up maybe making the same mistake again. I'm not going to do that. I'm fine with it. I love the feel of the yarn. Oh, this is out of Knit Picks. What is this? Tweed. Knit Pick City Tweed, which is an alpaca wool blend, I believe. I don't think it has any acrylic in it. I believe it's an alpaca wool blend, and it's the Larkspur colorway, which is on clearance, so I'm not sure how much they have left. But anyway, I'm a little further away from the camera, so I hope you can see, and I see. So that is that. The next thing that I have on my needles is I need a win mitts. I need a win, W-I-N. And I will explain more in Knitting Circle why I call these mitts I need a win. And the pattern is just a plain, they're the Koigu wristers. I believe it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and they're just plain stockinette stitch mittens with a rib cuff and rib at the fingers and on the thumb. And I don't have the author's name right here, the designer's name, but I believe she is a moderator in the Sock Knitters Anonymous Ravelry group. And so anyway, it just seems like a real basic, simple pattern. And I started knitting on it, and I was really liking it. Just, you know, basically like knitting socks. I started from the bottom, so it's just like doing ribbing. And I am using Knit Picks gloss in the fingering weight, which I believe is a wool. I think it's a wool silk blend. I don't know if I have the ball band for it. Yeah, Knit Picks gloss is 70% merino wool and 30% silk, and it's in the dusk colorway. And so I started knitting it. It called for it called for 30 rounds of ribbing. I only did 20, maybe 20, because I didn't want it real long. I already wear long sleeves already, and I didn't want it real long, but I think it came out shorter than what I wanted. I like the fabric on it, but the ribbing is too short. Then I was supposed to do 6 plain rows of stockinette before I started increasing for the thumb gusset. And what I think happened was my hands are kind of long, and so it just seems short to me. I'm thinking it's not the ribbing that is short, but maybe I should have done some more plain rows of stockinette before I started the thumb gusset, because it feels like it needs to pull down a little bit more, and it kind of feels like that here. So I'm thinking it's the gusset. If you have any ideas, let me know. I don't think it's the ribbing. If I did it again, I would probably do more ribbing, but I don't think the ribbing is the problem. But anyway, they're too short, and I think it's a combination of the ribbing, and I should have added some more rows of stockinette here before I start the gusset. So I kept knitting and knitting, even though I had been trying them on and really wasn't happy with them. And I've even started the ribbing at the top for my fingers, but I'm not sure. I put them aside. I think I've had them put aside for about a week, and I'm really considering ripping them back. They feel wonderful. I like the gauge that I'm getting. I think I'm getting, and I wrote it on my Ravelry page to remind myself what I want to do for socks also. It is 9 stitches per inch I think I'm getting on a US 2.25 millimeter, and I'm using my Chalgu red lace needles, which are some of my favorites, though the cord is a little stiffer than what I like. I think I heard they have steel in their cord. Their cord is just a little bit stiffer, but as far as the needle tips, they're my favorite needle tips, but they're not my favorite cords. So if I could have these needle tips on like an Addy lace cord, then that would be my perfect needle. The Knit Picks cords are just a little bit too bendy, and the Addy lace needles to me are not as pointy as these, but I digress. This is not a needle comparison segment. So those are my I Need a Win mitts, and I think I'm going to take them out. So I just thought, why am I continuing to knit on these when I don't think I'm going to be happy with them? I wanted to hurry up and get them done because I need some mitts to use while I am working in retail, and some mitts that I could still be able to handle money with but keep my hands warm. So that's what I wanted those for. My next work in progress, and there's really not much progress on this, but Journey and Justice are going to be entering their knitting next year in March into their school convention. And they have a knitting segment or knitting category. I can't really think of the name. And so Journey is going to knit a baby sweater set. She's going to do a sweater and hat and booties. And so I told her I would knit along with her, that she would have to do one for practice, and we would go through and work out how to do everything, and then she would get some really nice yarn and do one to submit. So I wanted to make a sweater for a coworker who was having a baby. And so Journey looked through the sweaters and decided on the Jiffy Quick baby sweater. So it kind of looks like the 5-hour baby sweater, which I have knit a lot of, and I've knit a couple of these too in the past. And so it's a really cute, and it is a quick sweater. I am doing mine out of Burnett Jackworks. I can't say that name correctly. And I believe this is the Easter. No, it's the Lemon Pie colorway. And I'm using size 6, I believe. These are size 6 needles, and these are Addy laces. Since I was talking about needles. Well, you really can't tell because they're not the same size, but you can still see the tips on the Addy lace. I don't know if you can see those tips. These are the chow loos and these are the lace. And the lace are just a lot blunter. The Addy lace are way pointier than the regular Addies. I can't even use the regular Addies anymore, and I used to love those when I first started knitting. But again, I digress. So this is how far we've gotten, which is not very far, and I've had it cast on for a while. I'm always knitting on something else. Her Journey's always doing something else. And I told her once we got through the increase rows, it has some make one increases, and I'm doing them at the same time she does them so that we can talk about, make sure her stitch count is right. And then when it gets to just going stockinette stitch, then she can work on that by herself until it gets time for dividing for the sleeve. So that's what I'm knitting along with her. I believe that baby was born already, and so I would really like to hurry up and get that finished. And that is all of my works in progress. Aspirations. Okay, what I am aspiring to next. There are a few things in my queue. As a matter of fact, I have been adding a lot to my queue. I wanted to say, and I didn't say at the beginning, thank you to all of my returning viewers. Thank you very much for your patience. And thank you to the new viewers who are giving me a chance. Thank you for checking me out. I really appreciate you visiting. I want to say thank you to everyone who are members and who share your projects with our group, because I like to look at the recently shared projects. I really enjoy seeing group members' projects. And I go through and queue a lot of them that look like something that I would like to knit. And I also every now and then go through my friends' activity and see what my friends are either knitting or queuing, and I queue a lot from there. So I enjoy doing that. I do have some things I'm hoping to cast on within the next few weeks. I'm thinking of, first of all, one of my favorite podcasts is the Stockinette Zombies with Just Run It, who is Megan, and Jay Nitma, who is Amy on Ravelry, vice versa. Megan is Just Run It, and Amy is Jay Nitma, are their Ravelry names. And in their thread or on their podcast, they are doing a crazy cow where you're knitting, doing something crazy, knitting something that's out of the norm for you or kind of crazy. And I won't give a lot away, but I would encourage you to go over and watch them. They're doing some crazy things. And I think if you know them and have been watching their podcast, you will really enjoy more of the crazy that they're doing. But they have a what's your crazy? And I said my crazy for me, because I'm more of a plain conservative girl, would be to knit a shrug. I see shrugs a lot, and I think they're kind of cute, but I don't think that they're anything that I would knit, let alone wear. So if I was going to do something crazy, it would be to knit a shrug, and a red shrug at that. So something that I queued up, and I thought, well, maybe I'll do something crazy, is knit a shrug, and this is called Loopy's Circular Shrug. It's a very simple shrug. It doesn't have a lot of lace. Trying to get the glare off. It's Loopy's Circular Shrug, and it is a pattern on Ravelry. Let me see. It is by Julia Allen, and I believe it is a free pattern. I think it's a free pattern on Ravelry. I'm sorry, I gave you somebody. It is a free download on Ravelry. That was somebody. Oh, okay, that was the project page. So that is one of the things that I have up in my queue. I may get crazy enough. I think the cal is through November and December. And as things calm down and the holidays come along and we're snowed in, I may get crazy enough to cast that on and knit it. And the crazy part will be if I wear it or not. But I'm the kind of person, if I spend that much time on it, maybe I will. Who knows? Another thing that I want to knit is I want to go ahead and jump on the bandwagon, and it's not because everybody's knitting it, but it's just because the more of these I see, the more I really like. I really, really like the shape, the size, and the style of the Color Affection shawl. I really do like it. What I'm not sure if I'll like is changing colors. I've changed colors before. I've done bags. I think most of the changing colors I've done, maybe even a sweater when my little one was young, was knitting in the round. I'm not sure how I feel about changing colors and carrying the yarn up and things like that. But you won't be able to get the effect of the Color Affection shawl without changing colors. I mean, I would still be able to get the size and the shape, but really the effect of it I wouldn't get. And so I want to knit it, and it's really not an expensive pattern. The designer is um, Vera Velamaki, and it is $3.90 European money, which is just maybe a little over $4 US, I'm guessing. And so it's something that I'm thinking that I would like to knit. I would also like to knit a new shawl that has recently been published by Paula from Knitting Pipeline. And I'll just admit, just like Mel did from Stockinette Zombies, the reason why I don't say Paula's last name is because I don't think I could pronounce it right, and I don't want to do her any injustice. I've never heard it pronounced before, so excuse me, Paula, if you want to pronounce it maybe on your podcast, I could see how it's pronounced. But I've heard Vera Velamaki enough that I think I'm saying it pretty much, that I'm not chopping it up too much. So anyway, Paula has a new shawl called Ellison Bay. It's a garter stitch shawl with kind of a ruffled border. It really, really looks nice. I'm still in love with the Piper's Journey, and I want to knit that. Since I last spoke with you all, I did find out that my best friend and dear cousin, who is 45 years old, has been diagnosed with lung cancer. And she was diagnosed at the beginning of September, and she didn't let us know until the second week of October, and they gave her until the end of December to live. And it's kind of been hard for us. She is doing some things, some juicing and things like that to see if she can help improve her health. But I wanted to knit the Piper's Journey for her, and I had been having it already. She's kind of a plain gal. She just wanted a plain gray scarf type shawl, and I wanted to knit that for her. But every time I got ready to cast it on, it just was not a happy knit for me. I would keep knitting on the My Hope because the My Hope was a happy knitting for me. And I kept thinking, I want to knit this scarf for her. I want to and I need to. But it was more like I needed to knit it for me. And it felt like more of a goodbye. And so I just haven't started it yet. So, and the Piper's Journey has been a shawl that I've been anticipating and wanting to cast on for a while. And to make it for such a sad occasion, I'm not sure if I want to do it. So I may not even do it. I have seen the tube scarf. I didn't pull that up, but that is another scarf that I may do for my cousin Selena. It's just, I believe it's worsted weight yarn, and you cast on 80 or so stitches and knit it around and maybe put some stripes in it and knit a tube. But it seems like a really warm scarf. I wanted her to have something to go around her mouth when the winter cold winds come. So that's my thoughts, but I'm not sure if I can do it or not. As a side note, I do sew all of just about all of the clothes that I wear or the girls wear. And when my daughter passed away, I was not able to sew her dress. I wanted her to have a new dress, and so friends did that for me, and I was very glad they stepped in and offered to do that because I just was not able to sew her dress for her funeral. So that is all I am aspiring to. We will get to our next segment. Our ASL Minute. So I've had a couple of requests. It's been a while since I podcasted, and I've had a couple of requests. One viewer requested, she said that she was knitting in public, and she was at the DMV, and a deaf woman commented on her knitting, and she could tell that the woman was saying that her knitting was pretty or beautiful or something positive. But this knitter didn't even know how to say thank you. And so I hadn't realized that I had not demonstrated how to say thank you. So to say thank you in ASL, you have your palm flat and you come from your chin and go out. Thank you. It's kind of like kissing your lips, but you just put your palm on your chin and go out. Thank you. Thank you. And in ASL, they don't have you're welcome. That's not part of their vocabulary. For them, if someone were to say thank you, and in the English where we would say you're welcome, they would say thank you back. So it's like thank you, and then they would say, well, thank you. So they don't have a you're welcome. That's thank you. Last night I was watching Nicolette from the 20-Minute Thrifty Knitter, and she was doing a sign that she thought was for fail. And I posted in her group that that was the incorrect sign for fail, and she said I could correct her if she was wrong. I believe she was talking about one of her knitting projects being a fail. So I thought I would demonstrate how to sign fail on here. And so for fail, you have your flat palm and you have a 2 or a V, and it looks like your victory is just sliding away. Fail. Fail. We don't want our knitting to fail. We don't want a project to fail. We want it to be a success. You start from your lips and you kind of go out like rah. Success. Let me see. Success. So that will be our ASL Minute. And thank you very much for taking the time to watch. Well, my weight loss tip. I will go ahead and share with you my progress. Since we last recorded, I have lost about 12 pounds, I think. And it's really been a victory for me. It's been kind of slow at first. When I first podcasted, I think I lost like 4 or more pounds the first week and a few pounds the next week. But after that, it seems like I've only been losing a pound a week. A pound or 2 a week is healthy, and I heard that's the good way to lose it. And hopefully it will stay off better that way. I didn't gain all of this weight 4 pounds a week, so I shouldn't expect to lose it 4 pounds a week. And I have to remember that. But it is a grand victory to me. Even though I'm a tall woman, you know, I have not been under 200 pounds in a long time, since maybe at least 10 years, maybe more than 10 years. I think it's been more than 10 years when I had Justice, and she's 15. So it's been 15 years since I have been under 200 pounds. And I am now, I guess I can tell you now, it's kind of like anonymous. I mean, you're all out there in internet land, but you know me, but you don't. But I'm now 188 pounds. So it was a real victory for me to get under 200, which is about where I started October 1st. And then it was a victory for me. I was really, really trying, and it took me a few weeks to get under 190. And I'm so glad to be in the 180s. My goal is to be about 165, which will be about 10 pounds lighter than when I got married. But that's my goal weight. For someone my height, which is 5'8.5", 5'9", that's my goal weight. So I want to share that success with you. Tips, what I've been doing is I take it moment by moment, meal by meal, just making healthy choices, lots of vegetables and lots of meat. and low on the carbs, low on the white flour and the white sugar and the noodles and the rice. That's just really, I eat fruit, but I eat that toward the beginning of the day when I know I'm busier and my body will burn the carbohydrates for energy. And then towards the end of the day, when I know I'm not going to be as busy and my body's not going to be burning the carbs, then I just have more of the protein from the meat and the vegetables. So that's kind of what I'm doing. That's what I'm working for me. I do sneak in treats every now and then, and it's a struggle. It's a real struggle. Sometimes I feel like, why am I doing it? Um, my brother told me, you're 39 years old, you're married with 7 children. What does it matter? Just eat what you want. And that was probably not the best thing to say to me, but sometimes I wonder why am I doing it, and do I really need to do it, and what difference does it make? And I've lost 12 pounds, but can you really tell a difference? And I would like to go down a couple of dress sizes, but I'm doing it for my health. That's the main thing that I'm doing it for. So as far as a tip, lots of water. I haven't been getting my water in like I should. My last tip on my last podcast was water with apple cider vinegar. And I would just encourage, a tip would be water. And I like yogurt. Something that I like to take that helps my sweet tooth is yogurt with the Simply Fruit. The Smucker's Simply Fruit is basically just fruit jam, and you take a tablespoon of that and mix it in some plain yogurt or vanilla yogurt, and it's really, really good. It tastes like your best ice cream, and it's just something that I have really used that's been able to help me along. So this is not a weight loss podcast. I don't want to go on and on, but I did kind of want to share that with you. I need to exercise more, and I still haven't been doing that. I power walk when I can. I power walk through the store when I'm at work, or I may power walk when I'm doing different things. And I've gotten on my exercise bike once, but exercise I know is a key, and that will boost my metabolism. And I'm not an exercise person. So, exercise, any kind of exercise you can. And I guess that would be a tip from me. Power walk. And you've probably heard this before, park way back. And it's cold now, so in a lot of places, so you will walk faster to get to your destination because you park way back and you're so cold. So park way back from the store when you're going into the store or something. I get funny looks when I'm not just browsing or looking, but I know what I want, and I'm powering through the store, not running over people, but just trying to get my exercise that way. So those are a couple of tips that I'm doing. And I will keep you up on my progress if you're interested. And if you have any comments, if you have any weight loss tips, I may open a weight loss tip thread. I may go ahead and do that, and or you can do that under this episode show notes. I would love to hear from you.
Hi, and welcome to Justice's Court. I don't have a lot of knitting to show you. I don't have any knitting to show you, but I do want to show you something that I want to knit for the convention that we will go to in May or March. It is the Cherry Surprise shawl right here. I don't know if you can see it very good because of the lighting. There. It is by, I don't even want to try to pronounce her name because I can't. I'm not good with pronouncing names. Anyway, I was going to knit the shawl for the convention, and my mom was going to work on it with me. And she doesn't know she can help me with it yet, but I'll tell her after the podcast. And that's really all. It's a very nice shawl. I really like the color and the shape of the shawl and the design of it. And that's all that I really have to show you for my knitting. Because I really don't, I haven't done much knitting at all because I've been busy with school and things like that. Well, that's all I really have to show you. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching and come back next time. Hi, and welcome to Jenny's part of the podcast. I'm your host for this part of the podcast, Jenny. So for this week, I'm doing the sweater. I'm doing it with my mom, but I haven't got much done on it. So I don't really have to show it because you can't even see anything. Well, I have been doing something else. Last week I went to co-op with a friend, and they were making stuff for charity. So when we came home, I went looking through my closet, and on the top shelf, I found something that we must have started a while ago. And so I started making it, but then the needle broke on my sewing machine, so I started hand sewing it with this needle I found. But this is it. It's a quilt. You knit a whole bunch of squares together, and then you connect them all to make a big quilt. And it's for charity. And I knit, well, I sewed some of it, and then the sewing machine pedal broke off. So I hand sewed the others. But it's really fun. I like doing it. And I wanted to sew for a long time, but I don't really know how to sew anything. And my mom said that, and then my mom really showed me because she doesn't really sew that much anymore. Sometimes she does, but anyway, so I sewed about this one, this one, this one, and this one with my hand. So you can tell because they're not very good. But so I did this one. This is row 1, and this one is row 2. So I've done row 1 and row 2, and there's a whole bunch of different colors of pink and purples. If you can see that, they're shiny. And then I have a whole bunch of other squares like this in the bag, and I guess they're from people's dresses. We got them from our church friends, and I guess they're from people's clothes and stuff. And you just get a whole bunch of squares and you sew them together with a sewing machine. But since my pedal broke off of my sewing machine and I really like doing it, I want it to continue. So here's some more squares. So I just decided to hand sew it. And I thought I had the needle sticking in here, but I guess I'm gonna have to go find that too. So this is what I have been doing. And then there was this other thing that I was doing where you get a bar of soap and you sew a washcloth in half, then you bend over the top and you sew it so it's like a little soap bar holder thing. And you can use that and then you put soap in it. And that's what we made at co-op, and I thought that was a good idea. And so I was gonna make one, but I couldn't find any washcloths, and my mom said no. So that's all for Jenny's Journey part of the podcast. See you next time. Bye.
On my iPod. Well, as I said last episode, my iPod kind of bit the dust. So I've been listening to audiobooks on CD on my way to work. And I had told you I had started Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Myers. I really could not get into that book. So I did take that back to the library. That expired. But a couple books I finished since we last podcasted. One of them is called Wonder, and it's by R.J. Palacio. Let's see, it's Palacio, and I can put that link in the Ravelry forum. I heard about this book from Paula on Knitting Pipeline, and it is actually a children's book. Not really children, but I would say adolescent. And it's about a boy with a disfigured face and how he gets through school and just the different trials and victories that he has. And I really enjoyed the audiobook. I really did enjoy it. So thank you, Paula, for recommending that. And I would recommend, I think anyone would enjoy that book. Another one that I just finished recently, which was like on Sunday, and it took me a while to listen to, was called The Art of Hearing Heartbeats, and it's by Jan Philip Sinker. Jan hyphen Philip, and then it's Sendker. And I didn't really realize it was a romance. I don't know. I'm not really a romance or a chick lit type of reader. Um, but it was not really a romance. It was more of a love story without being a romance, if I can say that. It was a very endearing story. It told of hurt, success, victory, um, without giving a lot of the book away. It was a really endearing read. I think that it's something that you may enjoy reading. So it's something, it wasn't real exciting, but I'm the type of person, unless a book is really, really bad, once I start reading it, even if I'm not that great of a fan of it, I finish it because I want to see how it ends. And so it's not, it was, I guess I would say on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the best, I would give it maybe a 6 or a 7. I would give Wonder an 8 or a 9, at least a 9. So those are the 2 books that I have been listening to. Also, on my iPad or in my iTunes, I have started watching a new to me video podcast, and it is called The Equal Opportunity Knitter. And it is hosted by Juliana, and I believe her Ravelry name is Jules Lunder. And if you would like me, I can link that in the show notes. I found it on the knittingpodcast.blogspot.com. Something about Juliana just really, some podcasts and podcasters you really just kind of click with, and some, may not be your style. I just really liked it. I really liked watching Juliana. I watched them all in a row. Her first one has some technical difficulties, but if you're into knitting and like knitting podcasts, and once you get to know her, you want to kind of hear more of what's going on, it's worth continuing to listen to. So that is a very new to me podcast that I really enjoyed the past week. So that's what's been in my iPod. And a contest. Again, like last podcast, I forgot to draw for the contest. I won't make this real long and drawn out. I had Journey go through the October share thread where I asked you to share your favorite comfort food recipes. And we had 14 entries, and Journey went through and she wrote everyone's name down on a little piece of paper. And I have them here in my teacup, and I'm kind of mixing them up a little bit, and I'm not looking. And I'm picking one. And the winner of our October share contest is Maybe. You're the winner of our October share contest. So there's your name. And contact me, and you will be gifted a $7 giftable pattern from Ravelry. Thank you so much for everybody who entered, and thank you so much for everybody who shared, and thank you so much for participating in my group. So now to our knitting circle. There's a lot of things on my mind for the knitting circle today, but I wanted to talk a little bit about, I said I would talk more in this segment about why I named my fingerless mitts I Need a Win mitts. And there was a time a couple weeks ago where I was feeling really discouraged with my knitting. I have been knitting for about 8 years off and on, and I really don't feel like I have a whole lot to show for it. I don't have any really fabulous projects. I don't have, a lot of my knitting I did in the beginning was charity knitting or baby sweaters and things like that that I either gave away or that I knit for my babies, and they since outgrown them. And then what do? Do you hang them up as shrines, or what do you do? I mean, I don't really have a lot to show. My recent kaleidoscope vest that I made, I've worn that a couple of times, and I get a lot of compliments on that, and that's kind of nice. But like my multnomah, I did give it to mom. It was a nice and fun knit, but again, just like the My Hope, it wasn't a really big, cozy shawl or anything that I would, you know, can really would like to wear or would wear a lot. It was kind of mid-size. It was too small to be a shawl, but it was too large to be a scarf, which is the same, I think, with this My Hope. And, after my disappointment with the My Hope and just different things, I don't know, I was just feeling like, I was knitting. I like the productivity of knitting. I like feeling like I'm producing something, that I'm busy, and I don't know. I just was feeling like I didn't really have a lot of successes. I guess, like Nicolette, I was just feeling like I had a lot of fails with my knits. And so I cast on the mitts. I thought it would be something easy, something useful that I would see all the time, that would really just kind of encourage me and kind of buoy me along with my knitting. And then I got going on those and was really liking them, and then they were not fitting right. So, I need a knit that I can kind of keep close to my heart, something that I can grab and say, you know what? I knitted this. I enjoy knitting. I am just um, not that I feel like I'm wasting my time. But I don't want to just knit stuff and throw it away, or knit stuff and give it away and not see it again and just say, oh, well, it's the process for me. I guess I'm kind of a product person, and I just don't really feel like I've had a lot of product lately. And so I think I'm kind of out of that rut. I'm more now just very much enjoying my knitting, very much enjoying knitting this multnomah. I'm sorry, not the multnomah, the hitchhiker. Very much enjoying knitting it, and it's just garter stitch. But I'm just enjoying the feel of the yarn. I'm enjoying the color of the yarn. I'm enjoying seeing the project grow, and that's what knitting is all about. And I think I will enjoy wearing um, this project, because it's going to be what I expect it to be. So, if you've had any down thoughts or down times or anything like that about your knitting, go ahead and share it in our November share. But also, I don't want it to be a downer type of thread. I mean, this is November and this is Thanksgiving month, and I know a lot of people do holiday knitting. I'm not sure. My mom, like I said, is a knit-worthy person, but than that, in my family, I don't know of any really knit-worthy people. I know the girls want me to knit for them a lot, but I feel like that I want to encourage them to knit more for themselves and enjoy knitting for themselves. So I may knit something for the girls, but again, I don't feel like they take care of their knitwear as well as it should be taken care of. So I won't be doing, bottom line, a lot of gift knitting. But if you're going to be doing gift knitting, please share in our November share thread what you are going to be knitting and who you're going to be knitting it for. And if you're not, for those of you who won't be doing gift knitting, you can still enter in. Tell why you're not going to be doing any gift knitting, just like I've shared with you why I won't be. But I still would like to see what you all are knitting, because it might be something that, I might want a gift. It may not be a Christmas gift, but it might be something I want either for myself or, just a random act. So I would like to see. So we will do that. And in my first episode in December, I will draw a name and I will share with you a $7 or less giftable pattern through Ravelry. I don't want to make any false promises again. I was trying to keep this episode as short as possible. I do want to do more episodes more often and just shorter episodes. I feel like I don't have a lot to contribute because I haven't been knitting a lot and I haven't been very, very busy. But hopefully there will be another episode or two before the December drawing. But let's do that. So thank you so much for sitting and knitting with me. Thank you for all of the kind PMs and emails that I've been getting, just the hugs that I get. And I'm doing this for community. I'm doing this to communicate with you all. I'm also thinking in my spare time, I would like to go through and do show notes, because this is a web blog, not only for you and to communicate with you, but for me. And sometimes I ask the girls, did I talk about this or did I talk about that? And I want to have a log or a blog or a document of what I talked about, of the podcasts that I've already mentioned, of projects and cues and just different things. I want to have that documented. And so that is where, even if you all don't read the show notes, I think I'm going to go ahead and do show notes for me. So hopefully I will be adding those to the blog, and that's at the Sittin and Knittin podcast.blogspot.com. So thank you so much for joining me. Take care.
From where I am, this is so frustrating. I feel I should just slam it down on the table and walk away madly, 'cause my stitches don't count up and I miss